Guys, that's right, it's the morning and it's time for coffee. Let me show you my favorite way to make coffee in a van. Oh wow, looks like my coffee, my coffee water's ready. Turn that down a little bit. Okay, I guess it wants to go off. Alright, so this is my little thing of how I make coffee in my van. To me, this is one of the best ways to make coffee, period. I don't care what your living situation is. I used to be a barista for a short period of time, and I lived in and out of the Seattle area quite often in my life, and so I'm pretty spoiled to coffee. Anybody who doesn't know, Seattle is a coffee mecca for a reason. They have really good coffee. I have mentioned in a previous video that I do have an electric coffee grinder. However, I don't always like using it because I don't like a lot of loud noises. And also, if you're stealth camping, electric coffee maker in the middle of the night or early in the morning is probably not a good idea. So I do have this very nice hand grind one, and I ground a whole bunch of coffee in it earlier. And this is not all going to go in here because obviously that's like a small cup. And you can put this over a bigger thing, which I normally do, but sometimes in the morning I want a little bit extra, and so I just kind of go for a small cup first thing. And so you just basically, it's this coffee cone. I know a lot of people have seen these before, but some people might not have. This one's pretty neat. It's a stainless steel one, and it's got like a double mesh thing. It's got this thing that sits on the cup, and then it has this mesh stuff that kind of looks like it's like a thin, almost like a foil stainless steel with little holes in it. And then inside of it, it has a screen. And now this thing is designed so that you can just put the coffee grinds in it and go. But I don't recommend that because it's really hard to clean. And as you can see, even using the paper cone, it is a little dirty in there. And so every once in a while, I really just have to do a deep cleaning on it because I just can't get it all out. So what I do is I use these little coffee cones that have the little perforations in them. And I just shove it down in there. And then I put this on top. And then I take my coffee grinds. And you don't have to put very much. Probably maybe for that small of a cup, maybe a tablespoon and a half. And I like to grind mine pretty coarse because I think it tastes better that way. And also, if I want to do cold brew, it's easier. So I don't have to reset my grinder. Because this grinder, it's like a salt grinder. So you can like set the coarseness and the fineness of the grind. And so, yeah, I really like that. So, but yeah, I always have it set to pretty coarse ground. And then I just pop that back on because I have some left over for later. Just put it over there. And then when I'm not using this one, like when it's warmer temperatures, I use my homemade coffee cone that I made in ceramics class at school, because I do go to the community college on occasion and I take ceramics classes. I've been doing ceramics off and on my entire life. It's just easier, even if you're an accomplished artist, to go to college and take a class because they have all the equipment. You don't have to have it in your house, or if you're like me and you live in a van, it's a lot easier. But it's just a thing that's got holes in it, and it sits down on your cup, and it's made out of ceramic. And this one's way easier to clean. However, you still have to use a cone because all it has are these big holes in it. And you can buy these. Starbucks makes them, and theirs are pretty fancy. They got a handle on it. When I made this, it was kind of on a whim, and I didn't really think to put a handle on it. And one of the main reasons that I only use this when it's warmer is because when I fired it, it did crack right here on the bottom, as you can see. So I just don't want it to crack anymore, because I don't know when I'm going to take another class to make another one. This one, you can put those cones in, and it works just fine. However, in a pinch, because of the way it's shaped, I can use the normal kind that go on the drip coffee makers. I know everybody's familiar with those, so that works. So yeah, that's my equipment that I use. If I'm making a lot of coffee, what I will do is, if you guys have seen some of my other things about cups and stuff, I will use my big Bubba cup and use it as a receptacle. You can use a thermos, you can use anything. That's the beauty of these things, is they will go over the top of any kind of cup. And so, let me drop this stuff on the floor. So basically what you do is you just kind of pour the coffee. Now the reason why my pot has this gooseneck on it is because you don't want to pour the water. You don't want to just dump all the water in at once, because you're going to make a mess, and also it's not really good for this type of coffee. You just want to kind of soak it over, and see how my water stream is kind of small, and you just want to get them wet, and then you stop. And I don't know if you want to see, you can see that, but you just get the grounds wet, and then you stop. And you let it rest for a few minutes. And the reason why you do this is because it will help to enhance the flavor. It'll get the bloom, is what they call it. It's called the bloom. I don't know why they call it that, but I guess it's because it allows the grounds to absorb some water and then kind of expand a little bit. And it also enhances the flavor. So you just, and then it's almost kind of like, you know, letting it rest, I guess is what they call it. And you just let it sit for a few minutes, and then we'll do it later. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you what kind of coffee I use and why. Okay, for right now, I'm using this Copper Moon coffee, and it's really good stuff. And I'm not recommending it in particular. What I'm recommending is the way it has been processed. Now let me explain. Okay, so the reason why I use a certain type of coffee is because of plant toxins and molds. I'm very sensitive to mold. I've always been allergic to penicillin my entire life, and I have found over the years, by narrowing things down, that's one of the things that I get sensitive to when I consume any kind of plant products. Coffee is no exception. There are these things called mycotoxins that get on coffee beans if they're processed a certain way, and those are it's basically mold. They get moldy. If they are processed what's called the natural way, they literally mold before the fruit is even removed off of it, and it's gross. It's moldy coffee. And from what I have read and from what I've heard, the US is the only country that doesn't care whether or not our coffee is moldy. They don't believe that it's enough of a hazard to make it illegal, whereas the rest of the world has banned it. So when there are too many mold particles in a batch of coffee, guess where it goes? It goes to the US. So I try to get coffee that is grown above 3,000 feet, which helps to protect it. It's also the process. I don't care what kind of coffee it is. I don't care if it's organic, certified, blah, 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 all those buzzwords. If they sit there and they dry it in the sun before they take the fruit off of the coffee berry, then you're going to have moldy coffee. I don't care how nicely they grew it. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care what kind of single origin, estate, family farm it is. It doesn't matter. If they don't take that fruit off with some kind of water process, which is called the wet or the washing process, you are going to be drinking moldy coffee, and you're going to be paying a premium for it. So rather than looking for organic, I recommend looking for beans that have been wet processed or washed. And that's why I'm using what I'm using. It doesn't even matter what brand it is. I don't care. As long as it says that on it, I'm going to buy it. If it's on sale, that's great. And I'll tell you what, the flavor, in my opinion, is better than any coffee I've ever had. And I don't care if it's dark roasted, light roasted, medium roasted. As long as the beans have been washed, it's a great flavor. I just hands down, for me. And also, like I said, I don't get as many coffee jitters from it. I don't have to stop what I'm doing all of a sudden and go pee. I mean, it's awesome. I don't get any digestive issues from it like I've had in the past. So yeah, and if you don't believe me, look it up on the internet. There's all kinds of stuff about that. And I just kind of did my research and found a better way to drink coffee, and I really enjoy it now. I, for a long time, had quit drinking coffee. And I didn't even know why it affected me so bad, and it even gave me an instant headache depending on the brand I got. And I'm a snob. Like I said, I've lived in coffee country for a lot of my life, and I'm spoiled. And so I would buy the fancy, expensive coffees, and I would still get sick and get a headache. So I just thought, well, coffee's not for me anymore. I drank too much of it or something. But that's not the case. It's actually how they process it. And I guess back in the day, because I wasn't paying any attention, every once in a while I would get a good batch and go, wow, this is cool. But I didn't know why. Well, now I know why. So always make sure, if you want a good cup of coffee, and just for the flavor, if nothing's bothered you, just for the flavor, try it out. And for all of you that have like coffee jitters, coffee headaches, or, you know, side effects from coffee, try the washed stuff. I think it'll help you out. Okay, so I think I've talked long enough, and it's probably a little bit too long because you don't have to leave it this long, but I think the bloom on my coffee is ready. Okay, now that I've talked like a long time, you really don't have to leave it for more than a few minutes, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And then basically what you do is you just keep pouring, and you make sure it goes slow, like a drip coffee maker. And see how my water is just kind of a dribble. You could pour it faster if you wanted to, if you have, you know, if you're pressed for time. I find though, if I go slow on my days off, that it comes out better. If I'm in a hurry in the morning, yeah, I'm just gonna, you know, dump it in there faster. And I just let it kind of go down for a minute first before I do it again. You know, and it's a process. So, you know, while you're getting ready, you just kind of, you know, do a few things here and there in between, and then you come back and you pour your coffee. You know, you pour your water for your coffee. And I drink a lot of warm water too in the morning when it's cold out. So I make a big, huge pot of water. And in fact, I'm going to be getting a bigger teapot soon, and I'll be showing you guys what I'm going to be getting, hopefully. I have to save up for it because they're kind of expensive. But I figure when you're driving around in a van, you need quality stuff that's not going to break. And this pot is a less than $20 pot from Walmart, and it's probably not going to last me long. So, but anyway, yeah, and I just make a big pot of stuff, a big pot of water, and you know, do all of my other hot water stuff with it. And if I want to wash my face with hot water or something, I've got it. And it, you know, and while my coffee's brewing, I can wash my face or do whatever. And that's how I do it. And yeah, it's a little bit slower, but it's easier to clean up. There's not as many dishes, you know, when you do it this way. And my coffee maker doesn't have to be electric, and it's very versatile. Yeah, so I think hands down for me, when it comes to hot coffee, this is my favorite way to make coffee, in the van or otherwise, period. I do cold brew, and that's going to be another video. So, and I just keep pouring it, you know, because I don't think it's quite done in there. And I'm going to see if I can get the camera over and show you. I'm using my new tripod, so it's kind of funky. But see, that's just what it looks like. And you just kind of pour it in there. And it takes practice. You got to watch and make sure that you're not going to put too much water in there and overflow your cup, because I've done that before. But just watch. See, that's why I have a clear coffee cup, to show you guys the progress of it. You can get clear glass. Even some of them are double walled glass, and they're pretty nice. I used to have one. I should have kept it. But, but yeah, then, you know, you just let it drip. And if you're going to have a coffee overflow situation, you can very quickly pull this off and put it on another cup. It's no big deal. I've had to do that before too. And so yeah, that's how I do that.